Before we jump into the show, I want to let you guys know that this show is being sponsored by PristineAuction.com. They have hundreds of daily auctions with brand new items every single day. Everything is JSA certified, so you know it's all 100% authentic. It's free to join, it's free to bid, and you only pay when you win. Check out PristineAuction.com and let them know that you heard about them from Sleeper Wire. That's PRISTINE auction.com. Welcome, everybody, to the Sleeper Wire Show. It is week 7 of the fantasy football season. I am your host, Professor Chris, and with me today, once again, Primetime Lucas. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Just getting ready for Thursday night football as we're recording here.
Every week. Yeah, we got the game of the year, Broncos at Cardinals, right? This should be more exciting than Rams-Vikings.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a better game. I'm not sure that there'll be a better game than that all season. That was great. Although the Chiefs-Patriots game was pretty awesome on Sunday night.
It was. And we're actually going to get into another good one for the Chiefs this week as well.
Yes, we are. I'm just excited to watch the Chiefs play every single week unless I'm playing against any of those players.
Fantasy firepower, man. Absolutely. All right, guys. Like I said, week 7, we are almost at the halfway point of the fantasy football regular season. It is flying by. It seems like we wait so long for the drafts to come around, and now we're already halfway through the season.
Halfway? Is it really halfway?
The fantasy season? Oh, yeah. Halfway through the fantasy regular season.
That hurts me to think about.
Yeah,
say it ain't so.
Halfway for the season for you guys who are playing against me in the Sleeper Wire League. Because I'm making the playoffs and you guys aren't.
Ooh, is that so? Is that so? Let's go look at these records here real quick. If we really need to do that, I think I'm.
Yeah, you'll have to be selective on choosing which one. I have better teams in one than the other.
Okay.
Anyways, guys, we got a great show for you guys this week. We have our start sit for each one of the matchups. We got our Flex Those Muscles segment and our Streamer Wire segment as well. Lucas, Primetime, you ready to get into the matchups?
Let's go.
Let's do it. Kicking it off here, Tennessee Titans at the Los Angeles Chargers, and I felt like the only Titan who was even worth talking about was Corey Davis, but he's been absolutely terrible recently. 5 catches over the last 2 weeks, so real quick, start sit Corey Davis against the Chargers, even though he is the only weapon that they have.
Sit, doesn't seem to matter.
Yeah, I agree. Derrick Henry, have you dropped him yet?
I never owned him, but I do see him appearing on the waiver wire this week. This has been like the week for everyone. They said, we're done.
Now watch this be the week where Dion Lewis gets injured. And then
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, then they sign Dexter McCluster out of free agency.
That's poetic fantasy football right there. That's exactly how it would happen.
Yes, it is. Yep. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and move to the more fun side of the ball. Phillip Rivers in line for a big game this week yet again. He's had 2+ touchdowns every game so far this season, looking very good, and seems like one of his most consistent seasons that he's ever had. He's been killing it for you. Melvin Gordon is the number 2 overall fantasy player right now out of every position, right after Todd Gurley. 9 touchdowns on the season, 3 last week. Melvin Gordon is a beast. Let's talk about Austin Eckler. Start sit against the Titans. I find this interesting because it's like as soon as I say, oh, maybe I need to be on the Austin Eckler train and get on board with this guy, he's terrible. No catches last week. Start sit against the Titans here, Lucas.
I'd play him. And the one thing I will say is that Melvin Gordon had 3 rushing touchdowns. One of those was on a drive that Austin Eckler took them the entire way down the field. Not going to say it's a vulture, but it's kind of a vulture. That was Eckler's TD. He has that completely different outlook for him. I don't think Melvin gets all 3 this time.
Oh, it's when Eckler gets a touchdown. When Eckler gets a touchdown, he vultures Melvin. It's not the other way around.
See, but he's in that like Danny Woodhead role, though, that Phillip Rivers loves so much.
He is not there yet.
He's that in that role. I'm not saying that he's as good as Woodhead was yet, but he's in that role, which Rivers is very comfortable with.
Okay, I gotcha. So anyways, you're starting him.
Yes.
Okay. And Keenan Allen is still a must start, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Tyrell Williams, 2 touchdowns last week. Is he worth a pickup or no?
No, he's not, just because it's so convoluted what's happening behind Melvin Gordon and Keenan Allen with all the wide receivers and options that
Yep.
Rivers has.
I agree. Is Mike Williams droppable? He's been super disappointing for 3 straight weeks.
Yes, he is. He'll have some good weeks, but he's not consistent.
The only reason I'm still holding on to him in one league is because I am taking the chance that next year I'll be able to keep him for a 13th. So I'm hoping that he gets it all together, but I'm certainly not happy with how he's been. We've been super high on him here, so it's been pretty disappointing there.
Yes, we have. Just for reference, I've dropped him for players in a PPR like Kiki, or I've dropped him today for Traquan Smith when the Ted Ginn news broke that Ted Ginn's on IR. Players like that are who I'm taking the upside shot with.
Well, let's go ahead and move on. Carolina Panthers at Philadelphia Eagles. Cam Newton, you're obviously starting this guy. Christian McCaffrey, you're obviously starting him. Devin Funchess, start-sit against that Eagles defense. He's not getting a ton of targets, but he has been productive this season.
He's if you need him, if he's in like a middle tier of guys that you're having to choose from, he's a pretty good option.
So we'll say he's a flex option.
Yes.
Okay. Greg Olsen, 4 for 48 in his first game back last week. Didn't play a whole lot of the game, or like 100% of the snaps or anything like that. But, he wasn't really going to coming back that first week off of that foot injury. I think he's an auto start. I love Greg Olsen. What about you?
Me too. If he's healthy, you're playing him.
Yep. All right. Carson Wentz has been getting better every single week for fantasy, more points every week. Is he a must start against Carolina?
Absolutely.
Is that Carolina defense not what it was?
It is not what it was, and Wentz is just that good, and he looks mobile again. So
he does.
Not as mobile, but mobile enough to be very relevant.
Wendell Smallwood or Corey Clement if you had to play one?
I think it's Corey, and then I also think that we see Sproles coming back soon.
See, I think it's Clement in a PPR, but Smallwood is probably going to get a touchdown.
Okay, that's fair. I'm not sold on Smallwood.
More rushing. Well, let me put it more rushing attempts for Smallwood. I'll put it that way.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure if I quite see that, but I will digress to your expertise here.
Honestly, I don't want either guy.
There you go.
Could we agree on that?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
It seems like a headache.
Yes, it does. Alshon Jeffrey, clear stud. I want him in every league. Unfortunately, I only have him in one, which is a bummer. And I think people want, Odell Beckham value for him right now.
Right.
After how he's been playing. But you're definitely starting him. Nelson Aguilar, start sit, 3 for 91 last week.
No, he was very good with Foles. He was one of the first reads every play for Foles, but with Wentz it's not the case. He's more of a third or fourth read, and without that broken play 50-yard pass, we would have seen Aguilar with 2 for 30 or 40 yards.
Well, and I don't even know if it's a product of Carson Wentz. I think it's Alshon, not only Alshon being back, which I think had a huge dent in that, but also Jordan Matthews in the slot, which is Aguilar's strong position.
Right.
Yes, I honestly don't think it's the quarterback. I think it's just Jordan Matthews being there, taking over the position. And Alshon breaking out once again. It's just a series of unfortunate events for him.
That's real possible. I do think that he was a safety blanket for Foles.
He was.
It just seemed that way when they were on the field. So it's hard to say how that would have played out if Foles was still the quarterback with all of these other options.
Yep. Zach Ertz, lastly here, clear stud, definitely starting him. Moving on here, Minnesota Vikings at the New York Jets. Obviously, you're starting Kirk Cousins. You're starting Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Personally, I am starting Kyle Rudolph every week as well. I like him a lot this year. Adam Thielen once again went over 100 yards, didn't he?
Yes, he did. We love
straight
Thielen.
Games to open the season.
We love Thielen.
So you guys who listened to last week's show heard me talk about Thielen for 5 minutes, just gushing over this guy. I get done with the show, I walk out of the room, and my wife is like, "You love Adam Thielen." Apparently, I use my teacher voice when I'm on the show, so it echoes, radiates throughout the whole house.
That's what you need. That's what you need.
I could talk like this if you wanted me to, just real low and slow and.
I don't think people would like that. I think they say, nah, come on, pick up the pace a little bit.
Let's move on here. Dalvin Cook, if he plays. So, Lucas, there was some confusing news on him this week. So, what did you figure out what happened? So, he practiced in full. He didn't practice. What did you gather from all this?
So this was really confusing. Zimmer came out and said that he was not limited, and then about an hour later, a report came out that said that he was DNP and wasn't there at all. I believe this came from the Jets camp because they didn't see him in the post-practice press op. So we're still kind of waiting for more information right now. But Zimmer said that he was not limited in today's practice. So just keep an eye on that.
To be fair, if he didn't practice, he wouldn't be limited in practice.
That is fair, but I don't know if I give Zimmer that much credit for being that creative. But maybe he is, and we just don't know it.
This is just the Jets trying to pull a Patriots move and like trick everybody.
That's
No.
right.
You said you didn't practice. Remember that? Remember, you can't play Sunday.
They're just screwing with Vegas right now. Is all they're really doing.
Well, let's talk about Latavius Murray, because last week none of us were on the Murray train. We had even said if Cook sits, don't play Murray because he's been horrible. And then he has an awesome game. So just killed it last week in Cook's absence. Start sit Latavius Murray if Cook is a surprise benching again.
Flex him. The Jets are mediocre against the run.
Okay. Quincy Enunwa is going to miss some time. Robbie Anderson or Jermaine Kearse rest of season?
Ooh, that's a really good question. For me, it's
pretty great last year.
It's Robbie Anderson for me in a standard, and Kearse for me in a PPR right now. We'll see how long Enunwa is out for, because when Enunwa comes back, he's clearly the guy over Kearse. So
yeah. I like the big play potential and the target increase for Robbie Anderson. I do think Kearse has an amazing opportunity, but the Jets, like Terrell Pryor, had a decent game. They didn't have Terrell Pryor last year. It was just Anderson and Kearse when Enunwa went down. It wasn't Anderson and Kearse and Pryor. So I think Pryor eats into Kearse's production more than he does Robbie Anderson's production.
That's fair.
Anyways, start sit Robbie Anderson or Jermaine Kearse, either guy?
That's tough for me. PPR, I'm playing Kearse, and I think I'm still holding out on Anderson, especially with this questionable hamstring injury that he has going on right now.
So it's a start for Jermaine Kearse for you
in PPR.
All right, Isaiah Crowell against the Vikings. You running him out there?
I think he's due for a down week, isn't he?
Yeah, down week last week.
So no, I guess we have to play him based on that. No, I'm not super comfortable against the Vikings with him. But if you need him with bye weeks and whatnot, he'd be an okay flex. I'm not real comfortable having him as my top RBs this week.
I've got him in a couple leagues. He's staying on my bench. Just the Vikings defense is not that vaunted D that they had for a few years, but they're still good.
And he also didn't practice today. So monitor,
There we go.
Monitor the foot issue that he had on Thursday.
If Crowell is out because of that foot issue, you playing Bull Up Owl?
You know, I mean, it kind of puts me right where I was. I would flex him just purely based on volume, getting all of the touches there. I don't love the running back against the Vikings, but I would give him a look.
All right. Let's move on here. Bills at Colts. I'm actually, a little side note here. My parents are coming up here to Minnesota to visit this weekend. I'm from Indiana. I just moved here in May. For those of you listening who didn't know, just moved to the Twin Cities area. They're coming up to visit this weekend. And my dad I was talking to him a little bit earlier today, and he's like, so is there going to be a place on Sunday we can go to watch the Colts game? I was like, no place is going to have the Colts Bills game on up here. This is not the CBS featured 1:00 game of the week.
Whoa. You're telling me that you don't have the ticket or another way to stream this?
I do. Well, I have the ability to stream it at my place, but okay. Like we can go to Buffalo Wild Wings, right?
Sure,
we can go there. And like where it's super loud and everything, or I can stream it at my house. I don't have cable.
Gotcha.
But he's like, yeah, we just find a sports bar or something. I was like, there's nothing that's going to be playing that.
Yeah, well, best of luck.
Yeah. Anyways, LaShawn McCoy, once again, the only Buffalo Bill I felt like was worth mentioning. I like him against the Colts. I just like LaShawn McCoy in general. He's been getting it done for you recently. He's been putting up solid RB2 work, and this could be a big week for him. Andrew Luck, definite stud. He's been playing great. I think you got to play him. Marlon Mack or Nyheim Hines for you, Lucas?
Ooh, Marlon Mack.
I agree. Does it change standard or PPR for you?
No, because Himes basically disappeared last week. Mack was back and Nyheim Hines disappeared.
T.Y. Hilton is questionable for Sunday. If he plays, start sit T.Y.
Oh, no question, you're starting him.
What about Chester Rogers if Hilton plays?
I think you could flex him in a PPR, but I don't know that there's enough usage with Ty there in a standard to really rely on him because you're going to be hoping for a touchdown. And with Ebron being a guy there in the red zone, Ty is going to get his, and then having Mac back, and then maybe using one of the other tight ends. I think that Chester is not as great of a play in standard.
So you can't give Chester a firm start if Hilton is playing.
Right.
What about if Hilton is out?
I would absolutely start Chester if Ty is out.
Okay. Locked and loaded, start him against the Bills?
Yes.
I like it. Eric Ebron, last player here, is a must start in my opinion. Lucas, I didn't put this in the show notes. I want you to I got a trivia question for you here.
Okay.
Top 5 fantasy tight ends this season in PPR.
Ooh, well, it has to be. I know Ebron's up there because I have him. I know Kelsey is up there because he did it against me. I know Ertz is up there, and I'm not sure if Gronk is in there. I'm going to say no. I know Jared Cook was really high. So I'm going to say
You're
Kelsey,
just
Ebron,
so
Ertz,
you can look
and
it
Cook.
up, aren't you?
No, I'm going with those 4, and I'm going to say Gronk is in there also. I think he hopped in there.
It goes Ertz, Ebron, Kelsey, Cook, and Kittle.
Okay.
Austin Hooper has the 6th spot, and that's really just due to his last 2 weeks, and which we'll get into once we talk about the Falcons game. Gronk is actually 7th.
Okay. I wasn't sure if those deep balls late in the game moved him up enough or not.
Preseason, I bet nobody thought Ebron, Jared Cook, and George Kittle were going to be in your top 5.
No. Maybe there was some rumors with the Kittle love. Kittle was the only one in there. People were really high on Kittle based on the Jimmy connection, but then he fell down a lot of people's boards when he had that random shoulder injury that came in the preseason.
Right. Yep, I agree. Well, let's go ahead and move on here. New England Patriots travel to Chicago to take on the Bears. Sony Michel or James White this week? Obviously, we're starting Tom Brady, so I'm not going to go through him. If you got him, you're starting him. Sony Michel or James White?
I mean, both.
Okay, if you had to pick one. Play the game right.
I mean, James White PPR and Michel standard.
Okay. I saw this stat that Sony Michel is 2nd in the NFL in red zone rushing attempts.
That's a very good stat.
Yes, it is. Yeah, a very good stat. That's exactly what you want from your running back. You want them getting the ball inside the 20.
Yeah, and honestly, I think even in PPR, I would be starting Sony Michel over James White now. He has just been that dominant.
Would you rather have the Michel White combo, or would you rather have the Kamara Ingram?
Kamara Ingram, no question. Okay.
Yep,
but I do love that other combo.
Start sit Julian Edelman.
Start him.
Start sit my boy Josh Gordon.
Start him.
I agree. Josh Gordon, I think this is his breakout game. Had a decent game last week. He would have had a huge game and would be in everybody's starting roster if he had caught that 40-yard touchdown pass where he got held, pass interfered with, and barely missed it. Would have had a huge game.
That's right. And Hoos was telling me that the Patriots officially listed Josh Gordon as their number 1 wide receiver on the depth chart.
Good, because he's the best receiver on that team.
And I believe he had the most targets of all wide receivers last week. He had 9, Edelman had 7, and everyone else below.
Good. Josh Gordon. I hate that he's a Patriot because I want to like him so much.
he's that guy that you just want to root for, even though he has screwed up so many times. Right. He is that talented. You just want to see him on your big screen.
Yep, I agree. I still think by season's end he's going to be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver for the second half of the season or something like that. You know how high I am on Will Fuller, right? There's a little tangent here. Someone offered me a trade Will Fuller for Josh Gordon, and I know she's probably listening to the show because she's a fan, and thank you for listening. I appreciate you tuning in.
Don't do that trade.
Down though. I believe in Josh Gordon. I feel like I'm higher on him than most people are.
Kiki's going to finish ahead of Will Fuller going forward rest of the season. So
I don't think that's true.
I do. Yep, we'll see. I do. I like Kiki is so talented.
He is. Yeah, we'll get to the Texans here in just a second, though. Let's finish up this game. Start sit Mitch Trubisky. Another solid week last week. 316 and 3 touchdowns against the Dolphins, who have a pretty decent defense. Remember, before that bye, he threw 6 touchdown passes, which was ridiculous. One shy of tying the NFL record. Then the bye week, 3 touchdowns last week. Start sit Trubisky.
Sit him. I think he falls off. I think Belichick, what everyone is saying is, oh, Trubisky's going to continue this. Patriots can be thrown on. Look what Mahomes just did. I think that they bring the blitz. They get in his face. They create more. I think he has more turnovers than touchdowns this week.
Okay, wow. There you heard it. 7 touchdowns for Mitch Trubisky because he's throwing
that's what I said.
7 turnovers. Sorry, 7 turnovers, 6 touchdowns. Jordan Howard starts it. He's still an auto start for me. I know he hasn't been what we expect him to be, what we drafted him to be in the late second, early third. I still believe in Jordan Howard. What about you? Start sit.
Start him.
Allen Robinson or Taylor Gabriel?
Taylor Gabriel. I think he's caught 100% of his passes over the last 2 games.
He has, yeah. Go back and listen to this week's great debate, guys. We did Taylor Gabriel versus Chris Godwin. Made me fall in love with Taylor Gabriel. When someone first brought that up, I was like, oh, I'm going to take Godwin for sure. But just what Taylor Gabriel has done, he's got the second highest catch percentage this season.
Behind who? Michael Thomas, I bet.
Oh my God, Michael Thomas. Yeah, and we're going to get to him. Michael Thomas's is like 92%. Which is just
absurd. Absurd. I think the close. What is Gabriel? 70%, 75?
78.9 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so Gabriel's caught 27 of his 34 passes. Let's go ahead and talk about this. Michael Thomas has caught 46 of 49 targets.
Oh my gosh.
Insane. That's ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, you were right. Gabriel has caught all 12 targets over the past 2 weeks, I think it is. Yeah, so Trubisky honestly has to have confidence in this guy. And we just saw what Tyreek Hill did to the Patriots defense. Speed can burn them. Allen Robinson is arguably the Bears' best weapon, and Belichick, we know, likes to game plan against the best player on the opposing team and force you to beat the Patriots in other ways. Gabriel's in line for a huge day.
I agree.
Let's move on here. Browns at Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield stream against the Bucs this week. Let's say if you have Rodgers or Roethlisberger.
Yes.
All right, I'll get to him a little bit later. Hint, hint. Carlos Hyde has cooled off the last couple of weeks, but do you like him against that terrible Bucs defense?
Absolutely.
All right, auto start then.
Yes.
I agree. David Njoku, double-digit targets the last 2 weeks, putting up solid tight end numbers. Jameis Winston, a lot of people have him ranked top 5 this week. What do you think?
I think that he probably ends up 7 or 8.
7 or 8?
Yeah, just out of the top 5.
Okay. Let me see here. I have my rankings. Let me pull them up right here. I don't have Jameis Winston in the top 5. I know that much is certain. But I just did them. My slow computer. Got to pull up Excel. Let me stall for a second. And
it's not a knock on him. There are just a lot of really good options this week.
I agree. I have him at 10.
Okay.
So I think he's going to be a top 10. I don't think he's going to be top 5. If he throws 4 touchdowns again, then yeah, sure. But I don't think that's happening. Mike Evans, 4 for 58 in what should have been a bigger game for him. Chris Godwin is the one getting the touchdown, so he's had 4 touchdowns in 5 games. Once again, go listen to this week's great debate. Is Evans still a wide receiver 1 with Jameis Winston? I asked it last week, and I said probably not. Or I said fringe wide receiver 1. I'm leaning more towards mid wide receiver 2.
He's trending down. For whatever reason, him and Winston don't seem to have the chemistry that the downfield gunslinger, Mr. Fitzmagic himself, had with Evans.
No, but 2 and 3 and 4 seasons ago, they did.
Yeah, but so now you have OJ Howard now. You have and the split there between OJ and Brait, and then the addition of Godwin and having Deshaun as the downfield stretcher. I think it's because there's more options there.
Okay. Yeah, Mike Evans, drop him. I'm kidding. All right. So like I said, we did Gabriel versus Chris Godwin this week for the great debate. Who do you like more?
Chris Godwin.
All right, I am taking Taylor Gabriel. Cameron Brate or OJ Howard?
OJ.
I'm taking Brate.
Okay.
It's good that we disagree on some stuff.
I like them both, and actually I'm starting both in different leagues this week. But Brady only got one target last week. You know that? And he scored a touchdown on it, but he only got one target.
We recommended the absolute crap out of Cameron Braid on the Sunday Blitz last week, and then like 3 minutes into the game, he catches a touchdown. I was like, "Oh, thank God!"
Exactly. Then he didn't
God
get another
one
target the
catch
rest of the game. It blew my mind. It blew my mind.
I have no idea why Jameis didn't target him, but anyways, I like him more than I think I like OJ's talent more, but I like Braid with Jameis more.
That's fair. I mean, OJ caught 4 for 4 last week, so I'm not sure. The tight ends usually get targeted a lot more heavily by Jameis, so maybe we see that this week.
4 catches for 4 yards?
No, 4 targets, 4 catches.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. Let's move on. Division game, Houston Texans at Jacksonville Jaguars. Deshaun Watson versus the Jags this week. You playing him, or would you rather, say, stream Baker Mayfield or Blake Bortles?
I'm not streaming Blake Bortles. I hate that guy right now, and I do. I'm so biased because I love Baker. I love Baker's talent. I'm going to say, see what's going on with the reports with Winston. I know he's been dealing with a couple different injuries.
You mean Watson?
Watson. Excuse me. Watson's been dealing with a couple different injuries, so follow that. If he more or less seems completely healthy, you're playing Watson. If it's really looming up until they're saying, well, he's kind of not himself, anything like that that doesn't just give you the warm and fuzzy feeling, go ahead and throw some Baker in there.
A lot of people have Deshaun Watson ranked in the late teens or 20s.
Yeah.
Do you think that's too low?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I've got him at 14. So I've got him, let's see, my 10, 11, 12, 13, Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford. I like all those guys. Right behind him, I've got Trubisky, Mayfield, and Flacco.
Okay. All right.
So I think 14 is pretty fair.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
DeAndre Hopkins, a clear stud. Don't even need to talk about him. Not a great start against the Jags this week, but Ramsey is going to be on Hopkins. I forgot to put the name in there. Will Fuller, not a great start against the Jags this week. Not Hopkins. Fuller, not a great start against the Jags. But Ramsey is going to be on Hopkins all game, so Will Fuller could get a couple deep bombs. Start sit Will Fuller, or would you play Kiki over him?
I think I'd be playing some Kiki. All these guys have questionable tags right now. Assuming that they're all more or less healthy, I'd be going with Kiki. Look for those short passes over the middle and a lot of work.
I'm still on the Fuller train, at least for one more week. Blake Bortles, terrible last week against Dallas. Is he streamable? You said no.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so.
He'll probably prove me wrong and pull a Bortles 6 touchdown game.
Oh, TJ Yeldon. The Texans have allowed 22 fantasy points per game to opposing running backs. He did miss some practice this week. If he's good to go, are you rolling him out there against the Texans?
Yes.
If he's out, you playing Jamal Charles?
No.
No?
I'm finding something better.
I don't know. Can you find anything better than Jamal Charles?
I hope so. If you're using TJ Yeldon, I hope so, because I'm assuming Yeldon was a waiver wire pickup of yours.
Oh, he most likely was. Yeah, for sure. D.D. Westbrook or Keelan Cole? I'm on that D.D. train.
I think I have to go D.D. I've been Cole all year long, and Bortles is not throwing it to him. He is the most talented wide receiver on that team, hands down. Bortles is not finding him.
Yeah, Cole's been disappointing.
He has. Yeah. It hurts.
Niles Paul, basically right after Austin Seferian-Jenkins got put on IR, Niles Paul gets put on the IR. So the Jaguars are down to, one tight end, James O'Shaughnessy?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get into him a little bit more later. Let's move on here. Detroit Lions at Miami Dolphins. Matthew Stafford, been his normal, consistent self, and when I say consistent self, I mean normal for him, as in kind of inconsistent. Consistently inconsistent. Golden Tate or Kenny Golladay for you?
Ooh, that is a really tough one, and I think I got to go Golden Tate here.
Same. Still love me some Golden Tate. Start sit Marvin Jones.
Flex him.
Man, you just cop out answer.
No, well, I don't dislike Marvin Jones this week, but he has fallen some in my eyes, and there's
Okay.
guys that you could have picked up that I like more right now. So,
All right. I think we'll get to him again when we get to the flex our muscle segment. So
okay.
we'll come back to Marvin. Is Kerryon Johnson the guy from here on?
Yes, obviously Blunt's vulturing red zone work, but yes, Carrion's the guy.
Yep, I agree. For the Dolphins, Brocktober continues. Osweiler once again rolling out there. Ryan Tannehill is out. Albert Wilson. Let's talk about him. He is an electric player, like a Tyreek Hill light. 6 catches, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns last week. His second huge game of the season. Is he worth a stash?
Yes, he is, and if they make him a more it's tough for me to flex him because he's making the most out of his work, but he's not getting a ton of work yet. If they make him a more integral part of that offense, then absolutely, I just want to see it.
All right. Kenyon Drake or Frank Gore?
Kenyon Drake.
I'm going to keep asking these questions because I'm going to keep saying Frank Gore.
I know. You love Frank Gore. Kenyon Drake.
All right, let's move on to maybe a more interesting game. Saints at Ravens. Drew Brees. Do you consider sitting Drew Brees against the Ravens this week?
Yes, I do consider it.
Are you gonna?
I actually don't have any Drew Brees.
Let's play a hypothetical here. You have Drew Brees and you have Dak Prescott.
Drew Brees.
What about Deshaun Watson?
That's really close. Probably Breeze.
Derek Anderson. By the way, Derek Anderson is making the start for the Bills against the Colts. It is not Nathan Peterman, which I was hoping it was going to be him, so that Colts defense was going to be great. All those pick sixes. Derek Anderson, though, saw this stat that he's thrown 7 touchdowns in the last 7 seasons. Career backup. Colts defense, fire him up. Anyways, right. Drew Brees or Derek Anderson?
Oh, Drew Brees for sure.
I figured that was kind of
that was a throwaway, huh? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I've got Drew Brees as my number 9 quarterback this week, so I like him. Alvin Kamara, is he going to disappoint again? Because he certainly disappointed last week.
No, he will not. No.
All right. Mark Ingram, pretty huge season debut, 16 carries, 53 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But the Saints were up and didn't need Kamara, so why not rest him? You know, they were leaning on him pretty heavily through the first 4 weeks. Why not give him a break? Some people have both of these running backs. Do you start both?
Yes.
All right, I agree. Yeah, we asked that question earlier with the Sony Michel and James White, too. Michael Thomas, talking about him once again, 46 receptions this season on 49 targets. That is nuts. That's probably the most mind-boggling stat that I have in here this week.
Well, it's absurd. And what it was through the first 4 weeks was he's the pace has tapered off a little bit, and I think that it will. But the first 4 weeks were possibly the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life in terms of the start for a wide receiver.
Oh yeah, he's been great. Let's move on. The other wide receivers here I have in the show notes: Ted Ginn or Traquan Smith if you need a big play. But that answer is pretty easy now. Ted Ginn sent to the IR. You picked up Traquan Smith.
I picked up Traquan in 4 of my 8 leagues. Every single one he was open.
All right. Would you rather have him or who's another guy on the Saints?
Cameron Meredith.
That's it. Couldn't think about that. Traquan Smith or Cameron Meredith?
You know, that's a really good question. Traquan only got 3 targets, and 3 of them, he caught all 3 of them, and 2 of them were touchdowns, so he looked great. Cameron Meredith actually had more targets and looked pretty good also. I have this lingering suspicion that Cameron may actually get more usage, but I really want it to be Traquan, and I think Traquan is more talented.
I think he's got the higher ceiling.
Yes. I chose Traquan over Cameron for my own teams, and okay. Cameron was open in all of these leagues. So if someone ran out and picked up Traquan and Cameron Meredith is sitting there and you have a spot, go ahead and stash Cameron Meredith because he could very easily end up being the number 2 there now.
Let's move to the Ravens side of the ball. Alex Collins or Javorius Allen. Last week it was 19 carries for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns for Collins. Best game of the season by far. Only 1 carry and 3 receptions for Buck Allen. Who would you rather have?
I would rather have Collins.
Who would you rather play this week?
I think Collins.
Yep. I'm still on the Collins train. Even though Buck Allen is going to get some goal line work. 2 touchdowns for Collins. It looks like they finally realized, hey, maybe we should give him the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. John Brown earned his way onto fantasy starting rosters. He's been super solid. John Brown or Michael Crabtree for you rest of season?
Wow. That is a really good question. I'm going Crabtree.
I think I'm leaning John Brown. I think I believe in it.
So I actually did a bunch of research on this myself today because I picked up Willie Snead to play in a pinch in a 2-flex PPR
That's
league.
my boy.
And so John Brown has had 47 targets, Crabtree 55, and Snead 43. John Brown's getting a lot more yards, but Crabtree's getting a few more targets. And Crabtree has really been the guy that's come on recently. His last 3 games, he's had 8, 12, and 9 targets. I like Crabtree's slowly becoming what we thought that he was going to. But all 3 of these guys, if you told me Willie Snead ends up as the number 1 wide receiver end of year for this team, it wouldn't surprise me because the 3 of them are that close together. This could go any way, any direction.
Best receiving core that Flacco's ever had.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Not best receivers.
Right.
Granted, he had Steve Smith and Quan Bolden. But overall receiving core, yeah, certainly
3 real options.
Yep. I agree. I love the Willie Snead name drop. I felt like I talked about him on so many shows. I had to dial it back a little bit this season.
Yeah, he's just no one's talking about him.
Yeah, I think they should. He's been doing pretty well for fantasy and PPR leagues.
In PPR, you're right. Yep.
And that's really it, just in PPR. Let's move on here. 2 more games here before we get to the primetime ones. Cowboys at Redskins, the classic rivalry here. Dak Prescott, 3 total touchdowns last week against Jacksonville. Huge game. 82 yards on the ground. This is what Dak Prescott needs to be doing. Moving out of the pocket, making plays. Is he streamable against the Redskins?
I love my Cowboys, but I'm not trusting Dak on any of my teams yet.
All right. Ezekiel Elliott, clear stud once again. Cole Beasley did what he does once or twice a season. 9 catches, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 11 targets. He is the Cowboys' top wide receiver. We did get news today that Terrence Williams is going to be suspended for the next 3 games.
That's right. Cole Beasley is a guy that's worth a stash in a PPR to see if he continues this up with Dak. A couple seasons ago, he finished the season as the number 1 target for Dak, and I think he finished as a wide receiver 2 by the end of season. So if they have rekindled and found that magic that they had, he's not a sexy name, but not a bad guy to have.
He's the Cowboys version of Sammy Watkins in that his big games are so rare that when he has the big games, you're never playing him. And then he has one and you play him and he disappoints the next week.
Yeah, but I will say, though, he was very consistent 2 years ago in PPR. He was very consistent. He was putting up double-digit points almost every game.
I mean, we also had Dak Prescott and Jason Witten there.
That is true. Dez was there also.
I said Dak again, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that certainly did have Dak. Yeah, Dez Bryant and Jason Witten. But we'll see. Hopefully he continues on. I do like Cole Beasley. I just think he's hard to trust.
I agree. At least right now.
Yeah, right now. Let's move to the Redskins side of the ball. Alex Smith, is he streamable or is he still terrible?
Terrible.
Yep. Chris Thompson out last week because Smith hung him out to dry. He is questionable this week. If he plays, though, you gotta love those receiving backs against the Cowboys who have given up 41 receptions to opposing running backs so far this season. Adrian Peterson, 17 carries for 97 yards once he had the backfield to himself. Aside from week 2 and week 5 with that injury where, Smith kind of hung him out to dry too, he's had a solid season. Definitely flex consideration here. If you've got both of these guys, who would you rather play, Thompson or AP?
Oh, man, this is a really tough question. I'm so frustrated with Chris Thompson right now. I think that until I see probably Adrian Peterson. I got to be honest. Adrian Peterson, I'm so frustrated with Chris Thompson
All
and his usage.
No, I mean, like, he's been injured.
He has been. Yeah, he has been.
All right. Let me ask you this, though. Something I didn't think I would be asking if the guy were healthy. Jordan Reed or Vernon Davis?
Neither.
I found Reed on waivers in a league this week, and I left him there.
See, that lets you know everything you need to know there. I don't want either of these guys. I dislike Alex Smith. He's hurting my soul.
I'm not saying drop Jordan Reed, but don't drop someone who's good just to pick him up if you see him there.
Right.
Let's move on. Rams at 49ers. Excited about this game. Todd Gurley, the number one player in fantasy for the second straight season. The guy is amazing. 11 touchdowns on the season through 6 games, 9 rushing touchdowns. He's on pace to finish in the top 5 all time in rushing touchdowns in a season, on pace for roughly 27. Record is 28 by LaDainian Tomlinson. Other guys who got 27, I think Sean Alexander's monster year back in 05, I think it was, and Priest Holmes both have 27. Gurley is on pace to end up right there with those guys.
Love Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I'm trying to trade for him in my Pro-Am, and I offered Josh Gordon and DeAndre Hopkins for Gurley and Fuller, and it got turned down.
As it should have. You would need to put in a running back, a half-ass decent running back in there, too, to make that happen.
I know. That's the only thing. It's like, if you want Todd Gurley, if you've got Todd Gurley, you are in a great position because you don't want to trade him and you don't need to trade him. But if you get an offer for him, I mean, if I have Gurley, I need like David Johnson and Devontae Adams.
Yes.
Something like that. You need to give
But honestly, I'd want even better than DJ.
Yeah, maybe Zeke and Adams.
Seriously, and that sounds insane, but Gurley is that good.
Yeah. And so I that got turned down, as it should have been. And so I was like, so what can I offer you for Gurley that does not include Melvin Gordon? And there was nothing.
Yeah.
Which I expected, but it never hurts to ask. Gurley, yeah, clear stud. Let's move on, though, because we could sit here and gush over Todd Gurley and Adam Thielen for like an hour.
That's right.
Yeah. Jared Goff, this matchup, I think you got to play him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp, going to be missing a couple weeks here. Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks were already must-starts. They're even more of a must-start than they already were. CJ Beathard was my streamer wire quarterback last week, and that definitely worked out. I think he's even more of a streaming option this week. 2 great starts in a row. 3 great starts in a row. 2 touchdowns each of the last 3 weeks. Probably going to have to throw against the Rams due to that, just offensive powerhouse that they've got over there with the Los Angeles Rams. I hate Alfred Morris, by the way.
Do you now? Did you lose a week because of him?
I did, yeah. I lost by 1 point. It was a league. I was 5-0 going into last week, up by, I think, 14 points, and my opponent had Jimmy Graham, and I had Alfred Morris. And then San Francisco decides to be like, hey, you know what? We're going to make Matt Breida active, but we're not only going to make him active, we're just going to give him, share the carries with Mustard. Not Alfred Morris.
Mozart.
Not Alf.
Mozart. I hear music in my mind when I see this guy run. He looked really good to me.
He did. Yeah. Did you see Matthew Berry's rant about Alfred Morris?
I heard about it.
Go look it up. It is awesome. And I feel the same way. And for the record, guys listening, I don't really hate Alfred Morris. Please, if you lost because of his lack of production, which I did. I mean, I also played Quincy Enunwa, who got me negative points because he got a catch, no yards, and a fumble, and then was out of the game. Yeah, and all that, and I still only lost by 1, so I'm not counting it as a loss. But yeah, don't be the type of person who tweets at these players because they did not win you your fantasy league. That's bullshit. Like, people do this all the time. They'll like tweet at the player and give them a whole bunch of crap for it, and it's not the players. It's not Alfred Morris's fault that he didn't get the ball. That's
right.
Yeah. So, guys, don't be that person who tweets at the play, Instagrams at the players. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Matt Breida, definitely startable in my opinion. Marquise Goodwin is back. Is he a must start against the Rams?
I think so. They get burnt through the air.
Marcus Peters has been horrible.
I found him.
No, he's not on the Rams. Is he?
No, we're looking. There's a couple Rams guys. Talib is injured.
No, Peters is on the Rams.
Yeah, I think they're both injured, aren't they? Peters and Talib.
I didn't think Peters was injured. I thought he was playing
and just playing poorly. Here, let me look this up here.
Been getting burned.
Yeah.
While you look that up, let's George Kittle, as we mentioned before, the tight end 5 so far this season, having his breakout season, which is good.
Absolutely.
And hey, Mr. Primetime, you ready to take us to Sunday night?
Hey, let's take it. Oh, primetime games, these are my favorite. These are the ones you really get to key on and see what these guys are able to do in the spotlight with all eyes on them. We're going to start with Sunday Night Football. Bengals at the Chiefs. Andy Dalton, what do you think? Is he a good play this week, Chris?
He is a great play against that Chiefs defense.
You said start the Chiefs defense?
Yeah. I'm saying if you look through the show notes that we have here, there's really nothing, no stats or anything about these guys. Start every player aside from the defenses. Start every player in this game.
So what you're saying is Joe Mixon is a stud. AJ Green, stud. Tyler Boyd, stud. Right? We've got a few studs on this team.
Absolutely.
Is there anyone else worth mentioning, or should we hold off there?
No, I think we don't even need to talk about any Chiefs, right? They don't have a good offense.
Yeah, it's been hit or miss, right? So let's just go ahead and start with this guy. Pat Mahomes kind of sounds like the Grinch, a little grumble. But guess what? We don't really care what he sounds like. This dude is balling out.
Someone said it sounds like Oscar the Grouch.
Yes, that's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Did you meet him when you went to the NFFC, the National Fantasy Football Convention?
I did. It wasn't.
Did you talk to him?
A little, just briefly, very, very briefly. Yeah. It wasn't the best first impression. Probably was a big reason why I didn't take him in any of my leagues, so I'm not very happy with that. But regardless, the guy's a stud. Kareem Hunt, stud. Tyreek Hill, stud half the time. Travis Kelce, always a stud.
Hill's going to be great this game.
We assume everyone's just going to put up huge.
Prime time, though, Tyreek Hill in prime time. I don't remember the last time they played a primetime game where Hill didn't shine.
Yeah, I agree. I'd have to go look it up. But this game should be a lot of fun. Don't prove us wrong and be like a 20-13 game, please.
Yeah, this is the one I'm most excited to watch.
So is there anyone else that we need to talk about? How do we feel about Uzomah?
Streamable. For sure.
Okay. All right.
I didn't even think Sammy Watkins. I dropped Watkins in a league this week, which is big for me because I really do like Sammy Watkins. He just hasn't been getting it done. If he wasn't going to do it against the Patriots last week, he's not going to do it this week. But I do think he is flexible.
If you've been listening to Sleeper Wire for a couple of years, you know that I despise Sammy Watkins. Did not have him on any teams last year. I don't have him on any teams this year. I do like him better with the Chiefs, but I still don't like him. Next, we have Monday Night Football. This should be hopefully a high-scoring game here with the Falcons' defense being so terrible, and maybe Eli has a good game this season with all the weapons. So we have Giants at Falcons. What do you think about Eli? Is he streamable this week?
Yeah, the Giants are going to have to throw to keep up.
I 100%.
I also think that's a greater chance for Eli to throw interceptions.
It is
highly possible, but he's going to have to throw the ball in order for the Giants to have a chance against this Falcons offense.
So here's my question. Does Eli Manning have more touchdowns than turnovers this week? What do you think?
Yes.
Okay, then that probably makes him a pretty decent play in a game we assume that there'll be a lot of ball movement. Next, we have Saquon Barkley. This guy is exactly what we thought he was going to be going into the preseason. The guy is a stud. He is a Todd Gurley-esque player. He is that good. He's a beast. I don't think there's anything else to say there.
No, amazing.
People are really upset with OBJ here this season. as you probably should be, but you shouldn't really be that upset with him. You should be upset with Eli. What are you doing if you have him? Are you trying to trade him?
No, I still believe in OBJ, and he's been pretty great. He had what, like one down week, a couple decent weeks, but he's had two really, really good games for you. He's had two Odell Beckham games. And do you have any shares of him?
Ooh, of OBJ, I have him in the Scott Fish Bowl.
Okay.
And
Well, I mean, I guess you can't really trade in the Scott Fish Bowl, but would you trade him at less than his first round price? Right
no,
now?
I wouldn't. Because
Okay, yeah.
I believe in the talent, and he really, they could get it together at any point here.
Right. I see a lot of posts on Facebook about, all right, I'm effing dropping OBJ, blah blah blah. He just sucks. But
Yeah,
those
not,
same
really
people,
the case. It's not
those
really
same
the case.
people who are saying that still want Julio Jones for OBJ, like in a trade.
That's right.
You know?
That's
yeah,
right.
they're not willing to sell him at a discount, but they are about to drop him, or so they say. It's ridiculous.
So they say.
No, he is still worth that first round draft price. Yes, the touchdowns have not been there. I do believe they are going to come. It's only a matter of time. OBJ is great. He's a high wide receiver 2 right now. Gonna finish well inside the top 10 by end of the season.
He's a trade for target for me. So
if you can find someone willing to take a second round value for him instead of first.
That's right. That's right. If you can make that happen, go get OBJ. Next, we have Evan Ingram. He's been out for 3 weeks with his injury. They play Monday night, so he's questionable. You probably don't want to rely on him. Look elsewhere for somebody else. Sterling Shepard, generally a stud, except for last week with Evan Ingram out. That was a down week for him, I think. What do you think? Start sit for Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard is generally okay, occasionally a stud. Not generally a stud, but if Ingram's out, you know what? Even if Ingram plays, Sterling Shepard, I think, is going to have a good game.
All right. Next, let's flip over to the Falcons side of the ball. Matt Ryan, he's a must start, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So some big news this week. Devonta Freeman got put on IR. Luckily, it was right before waivers hit, so everyone had the ability to go snag up Ito if he was still out there. What do you think? How is this going to shake out between Tevin Coleman and Ito Smith?
It's Coleman. Ito's not getting any carries. Like, I mean, he's getting carries. He's very touchdown dependent. I do not want the guy who's getting 5 carries and hoping he gets a touchdown. Give me Tevin Coleman. Auto start for me.
Okay. Julio Jones, how do you think he does this week?
Beast.
Okay.
Monday Night Football at home. Julio thrives on Monday nights.
So this must be what he was waiting for to find the end zone, right?
Yep.
Monday Night Spotlight?
Monday Night Spotlight. That's it.
Okay. Calvin Ridley, start or sit?
Sit.
What about Sanu?
I would play Sanu over Ridley.
Okay, Sanu over Ridley for the Professor.
I don't really want to play either guy, which is weird because I feel like Matt Ryan's going to throw a lot of touchdowns. But you know what? Scratch that. I'm sitting Ridley, but if I have Ridley and Sanu, I would play Ridley over Sanu.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to change my answer.
All right. Austin Hooper, 18 catches and a touchdown over the last 2 weeks. Did I read that right? 18 catches in 2 weeks. So this is what people have been expecting from him, and it's finally coming to fruition. So if he's out there, go snag him because he is out there in some of your leagues. So go ahead and pick him up if you need a tight end going into the bye weeks and use him for some trade value afterwards.
Yeah, I saw 77% owned in Yahoo leagues.
So he's out there and a good amount of these leagues. So I think that's just about everyone we really need to talk about from these games.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you, Primetime.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, it's time to flex those muscles. Little segment here. This guy or this guy, no explanation. Lucas, you ready to kick it off here?
Let's go.
All right, got a gross one for you first. Mike Williams or Corey Davis?
Mark Williams.
I think I'm going to take Corey Davis, and I don't like it. Robbie Anderson or Devin Funchess? Give me Robbie.
This is tough. These are good. You've done quite well here.
Nice.
Robbie, as long as obviously this hamstring thing isn't too big of a deal.
All right. Chester Rogers or Taylor Gabriel? Let's say T.Y. is playing.
Taylor.
T.Y. is not playing.
Chester.
Yeah, I lean the same way.
Yep.
John Brown or Allen Robinson?
John Brown.
John Brown. Peyton Barber or Marlon Mack?
The Mack attack.
Marlon Mack for me as well. Carlos Hyde or TJ Yeldon?
Give me some of that Hyde. He's going to bounce back.
Give me some of that Yeldon.
Yeah.
The receptions there. Marvin Jones or Nelson Aguilar?
Jones.
Yep, Marvin for me. Chris Godwin or Marquise Goodwin?
Wow. Like them both. Goodwin.
I'm taking Goodwin as well. Another gross one. Lamar Miller or Isaiah Crowell?
Give me the Crow as long as he plays. He was DNP Thursday.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I'm going to take Crowell as well. Lastly, Adrian Peterson or Alex Collins? I'm taking Collins.
I'm taking Peterson.
What if Chris Thompson plays? I'm taking Collins either way.
Yeah, I think I'm going Peterson.
Okay, there you guys go. All right, time to move over to Streamer Wire, our last little segment here. Streaming quarterbacks and tight ends, doing a little snake thing here. I'll kick it off with quarterback. My streaming quarterback is Baker Mayfield. 40% owned, so you can certainly still go out there and get him if you're streaming. I do really like the matchup. Browns at Buccaneers. The Buccaneers defense is horrible. Baker Mayfield has good weapons if they could catch the damn ball. I think he's going to have a great day against the Bucs, and the Bucs have a really good offense, and they could possibly put up some points on the Browns. Baker Mayfield, stream of the week for me.
And I'm going to go ahead and stream Flacco here this week. Going against New Orleans, they've given up the second most points to fantasy quarterbacks. They're playing in Baltimore. He's only 39% owned. Great week to play Flacco if you're going to.
All right, let's move to tight ends. Lucas, snake, turn the snake and kick it back.
So I'm going to go with a guy who is likely to get some work as long as he plays. He is questionable, but his name is Uzuma. You know, we said that we like this game a lot. Should be pretty high scoring. Dalton's been looking pretty good. Kansas City Chiefs have given up the second most points to tight ends. This guy caught 6 out of 7 possible passes last week, 6 out of 7 targets. He brought down, he's 40% owned right now, so he's likely out there.
And my tight end is a gross pick, I know, but it is a gross position. James O'Shaughnessy, for the sole reason that he is the only starting tight end for the Jaguars now, and he's most likely going to get some targets. I don't necessarily like the matchup, Jaguars against the Texans. I do think that pass rush is going to be able to get to Blake Bortles, but hey, he's a starting tight end and only 2% owned, so there's a very, very good chance that you can go get him. All right, Lucas. Well, hey, that's going to wrap it up for this week.
Hey, quick show, good show, lots of good information here. Great listen, I think, for these guys.
Yes, absolutely. Another good one. Guys, please go check out sleeperwire.com. You can find our rankings on there. You can submit a question to the Sleeperwire crew. We all debate it, and then we send you an email back. Follow us on Twitter at Sleeperwire Show. You can follow Lucas on there at Sleeperwire LBB. I am Prof_Chris SW. Follow us on Sleeper at the Sleeperwire handle, also Sleeperwire LBB and Professor Chris. And then on Fantasy Life app at Professor Chris there as well. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Lucas, thanks for joining me. Catch you guys next week.
See you guys. Good luck.